The Minnesota Timberwolves have high expectations for the upcoming season, and for good reason. After 2 straight first-round exits in the playoffs, the Wolves are looking to make a statement in the Western Conference and climb up the standings as a real contender. Here are 3 reasons why I believe the Wolves can be contenders in the West. The first one is talent. The Timberwolves are overflowing with talent. It all starts with 4th-year guard and former #1 overall pick Anthony Edwards. He showed in the playoffs last season and in FIBA ball that he can be a #1 guy on a contending team. His numbers have improved every year, and many expect him to make an even bigger jump this season. The talent doesn't stop there, as you have former All-Star Karl Anthony Towns as a second option. Cat is an elite scorer and one of the best shooting big men the league has ever seen. He can struggle occasionally on defense, but has help in the front court with former 3-time Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert. The Wolves gave up a lot to get him, but if it ends in a playoff run, it will all be worth it. Rudy helps hide some of Cat's shortcomings and helped the Wolves to the 10th best defensive rating last season. Speaking of defense, the Wolves have an elite perimeter defender in Jaden McDaniels. The late first-round pick from Washington can confidently guard any #1 option from the opposing team and has improved his shooting and looked to attack much more often last season. Additionally, the Wolves have veteran point guard Mike Conley and coming off the bench fan favorites Kyle Anderson, Naz Reid, and Shake Milton, who we will talk about in a bit. The Wolves have the talent to compete with the best in the NBA, but they also have more going their way. Number 2, continuity. The Wolves had a whole offseason to get everyone on the same page. Last season's push was cut off at their knees with an early injury to Karl Anthony Towns. In some ways, this was a positive with the development of Anthony Edwards becoming the #1 guy, but in other ways it hampered the chemistry between Cat, Ant, and Rudy. When Cat came back, the Wolves were stricken with injuries to Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels for the playoff run, so they went into the Denver series without key pieces to their team. Additionally, adding a new point guard at the trade deadline is never easy for any squad. With the whole offseason together and going into the new season at full strength, the Wolves can have the stability they need to make a run in a tough Western Conference. They also have had time to build chemistry and learn each other's tendencies. Coach Chris Finch has had an offseason to fully implement his system and work out the wrinkles of a 2 big man starting lineup. The third key, it will be the bench. The Timberwolves have not had this kind of depth coming off the bench, possibly in franchise history. It all starts with Naz Reid, who took a lesser deal than many speculated he would take in the offseason to stay in Minnesota. Naz is an effective scorer who can beat you in the post and from behind the arc. He produced big time in the minutes he was allotted last season, and his minutes should skyrocket from the teens to the 20s this season. Next, we got to talk about Kyle Anderson, or Slow-Mo as he is known to the NBA. Kyle is a steady hand for the Timberwolves and has a sky-high basketball IQ. He had 2 triple-doubles last season and always seems to make the right play. New to the Wolves bench is Shake Milton. Shake had a strange role on the Sixers where he wouldn't play several games and then would come in and produce when he was called upon. He should have a much bigger role in Minnesota and can create offense for himself. He should be a 2.0 version of Jalen Noel, who the Wolves let go in the offseason. Also, we got to talk about Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who had a great playoffs last season, hitting key shots and playing lockdown defense on Jamal Murray. Nickeil was seen by many as just a throw-in in the D'Lo trade, but has emerged as a steady hand off the bench who can hit some shots and play stifling defense. Sprinkle in Troy Brown Jr., Jordan McLaughlin, and Luka Garza, and the Wolves should have a bench Coach Finch will have no fear relying on. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and let me know where you think the Wolves will finish in the Western Conference. And as always, go Wolves.